tools to blow the dust everywhere. So, tire off. Alright, so remove the tire, set that out of the way. And now we're exposed our brake system. We're going to start by removing the caliper, but we got to compress the piston so we get the caliper up. So we're going to use our C-clamp. Open it up. Crank it down. We're going to push the piston all the way back into the caliper housing, or as far as we can get it. Now, this should go back pretty smoothly without too much effort. If there is a lot of effort, it could be a bad caliper. And it's important that we know that ahead of time before we go back together. Alright, lever pushed back far enough. Turn the wheel and remove our caliper mount bolts, which are the 14 mil. So we can either use a 14 mil ratchet or we can use a 3/8 drive ratchet. Instead of a 14 mil wrench, we can use a 3/8 drive ratchet with a 14 mil socket. Your choice. I prefer ratchet wrenches. They work great. They're quicker, faster, and do, I think, a better job. All right, so we got that one loose. Crack the bottom one loose. Remove the caliper. There's your caliper. Here's your brake pads. They sit down inside the mount. They mount onto the caliper mount. Set the pads aside. Next, we got to remove the caliper bracket. That's going to require a 3/8 drive ratchet and a 15 mil socket, we believe. Bring the top bolt now. And there goes our bracket. Here's our cup bracket. Alright, these are the slides. I'm going to pop these out. I want to check them. Make sure they're clean, make sure there's no rust on them and no dirt that's got inside of them. If everything looks good, all we have to do then is use our brake silicone. And we'll do this right now since we got it apart. Just add some silicone to it. Either anti-seize or any brake silicone works great. I prefer silicone, it's cleaner and lasts longer. Those are back in. I'll just set that aside for now. We're ready to take our brake rotor out. And off comes our brake rotor. We use this to get rid of the oil substance that's put on these from the factory. Why they sit in the box and why they're in shipment. They can get rust on them, moisture in them. The oil is used to keep the rust and moisture off. So we use the brake cleaner to remove that so the brakes don't smoke, and it allows the brakes to properly seat in to the new pads. Just want to clean that surface. That's good enough. Ensure we don't have squeaks or squeals or rattles from the brakes. It's like a little extra insurance policy, just to make sure the job's done right and less chance of having a problem. So spray that on. It's best to let it sit for a few minutes and harden, kind of firm up. So we can reassemble our rotor. Make sure everything fits good. Make sure that they're the same size as the one that came off. And here's our 3/8 drive ratchet and our 15 mil. And let's snug them up. Never tighten just one bolt. Always get them both evenly tightened down. And then go through into your final tightening once you're done. That one's now tight. This one here will be semi-tight. Now that that one there is semi-tight, we can lock this one down. Normally we use a torque wrench to do this, but because most people don't have a torque wrench in their garage, put the Loctite on. The Loctite will help save the threads and seal them and leave them locked in place. And put a nice good torque on that one. And then likewise on the bottom one. Those should be nice and tight. Now, grab our brake pads. Like I said, we've already applied our brake quiet spray to the back of them. And the sensor, one pad will have a little sensor on it, the other one will not. The sensor normally goes on the rear, behind the rotor, and faces upward. So one. The one without the squealer sensor goes on the front pad, facing the front of the rotor. Lock those in place, slide them in. So we're trying to push the piston back in the caliper. I'll make sure it goes back nice and smooth. It shouldn't be jerky, it shouldn't be tight. It should go back nice and fluid and smooth. If there's an issue where it's binding or sticking, the caliper needs to be replaced. Otherwise your brake pads will wear out within a few months, if not days. Very important that the calipers go back smoothly. Just get a nice decent amount on there. Not too much, but enough it's going to last 20, 30,000 miles. And then I like to put a little bit inside the caliper housing as well, just to make sure. And then I'll lock them down. Just a nice, decent snug, works good. No reason to overdo them. And they're tight. Now we'll straighten the wheel back out. Double check we are not missing any bolts or having leftover parts we shouldn't have. And that concludes our